Hi, and welcome to Diversity in the Community. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have my friend with me today, Habaka. And the last few letters of your name, what does that stand for?
The KFJ?
Yeah, the KFJ. Oh,
The KFJ stands for K. Foster Jackson.
K. Foster Jackson.
Exactly. So it's a long name, you know.
Yeah, I met this young lady last year.
Yes.
I saw her on the Hartford Jazz Cruise, and I was just astonished. I fell in love with her. We've been buddies ever since. Her band is phenomenal, and I just want to say to you, welcome to the program,
Oh, well,
darling.
thank you so much, Teresa.
Oh, I was playing your CD in the car, and I was telling you when you got here, one of the songs that you sing that's just dear to my heart. I sing it to my new grandbaby, and I just love this lady. And now she is. I want you to tell people. I don't want to talk about you. I want you to tell everybody about you, where you were born, and how you ended up in Italy,
Okay.
and what you're doing now.
All right. Well, I was born in Nashville, Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up right here in Connecticut in Bloomfield.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Bloomfield High, Bloomfield Junior High, and so even with that, for me to be here is amazing for
Yes,
me. It's
yes.
very overwhelming, and I went via I lived in a lot of places, of course, being an entertainer and LA, but I ended up in Atlanta, Georgia, and then from Atlanta, Georgia is when I went to Italy. And how that occurred was I was singing with a gospel band, a gospel group called the Burning Bush, and I had been singing with them for about 5 years, and I was doing the marketing for the band, for the group and everything, and we found a promoter, and we did our first tour over in Italy, and we opened up in Bordighera for Dee Dee Bridgewater, and we were there for a couple of weeks, and for me, that was when I decided that I wanted to be a professional vocalist.
Okay.
And before that time, I had never really thought about being a professional vocalist because I was really too shy.
But your mom is a vocalist.
And my mother is a vocalist. She was a vocalist, a jazz vocalist as well. My father played saxophone he started out with Johnny Taylor, then he was the band leader for Bobby Blue Bland, and then he ended the last one, he was with B.B. King for more than 25 years. And so my grandmother was a dancer. It was like my grandfather also was a promoter and a pianist in Nashville.
So you couldn't get away from it.
I couldn't get. I'm telling you, Teresa, I tried. I tried. I couldn't get away from it. I thought I was going to be a dancer because I studied dancing for 16 years, and I was really, really good at doing choreography and everything. And I studied under Cheryl Smith.
Okay, all right.
Can you believe
All right,
that?
all right, all right.
It's like full circle, you know. So for me, I am really overwhelmed because I studied under Cheryl Smith, and like I said, I studied with her 16 years. I thought I was going to be a dancer, a
Wow.
professional dancer,
Wow,
because I
wow.
wasn't singing. I sang in school in the choir,
Yeah,
the chorus,
yeah.
you know, and but my teacher, she always said I was going to be a vocalist. And I always said, no, I
saw something you
wanted to
didn't
be
see.
in the with all the people. And
Yeah.
she would always stop and say, who is that? Who is that? Her name was Miss Crochet. And she would be like, whose voice is that? And we would all be like, and she would come on, she'd say, it's you. And I was like, what? And she's like, you're special, you're gonna be, and I was like, oh, Miss Crochet, no. But she was right. She was right.
Oh,
After
my
all
goodness.
those years went by, and we made our first trip to Italy, that I was sitting on the balcony looking out over the ocean, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to try doing this all the time. Just,
Okay.
I don't want to, and I was like, if it doesn't work out, at least I tried.
Right, right,
And
right.
that's how I thought about it. I was like, well, I can try it, and if it doesn't work out, then I go back to being in management and working. I was working at the Marriott under as management, and for me, I just love people. I love working with people.
But to come from here and decide to stay in Italy without even knowing the language.
Yes, and then actually, yes. So I returned back to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
The band, the gospel group, we broke up,
Okay.
and I went back to work to the Marriott, and then I contacted the promoter. It was a fluke that I found his address because I didn't even have his contact information. I gave it to the leader of the band, so I didn't keep any information. And I was sitting on my bed one day, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't keep the contact information. And I was looking at one of our posters of where we had performed at, and right at the bottom of the poster, I mean, in really tiny little letters, it seemed like it just jumped out at me. And I was like, what is that? And I got up and I went, and it was all his contact
Oh
information.
my, look at God.
Exactly. I was like, look at God. I was like, this is amazing. So I sent him at that time, I sent him a fax telling him, I said, I don't know if you remember me, but I was the lead singer for the Burning Bush, and I just want to let you know I'm available to do concerts if you ever have any need for a vocalist. And after a couple of weeks went by, I came home one day, and he had responded. And he said, yes, I
Oh, my.
remember you, and yes, I will put a band together for you.
Wow.
And that was the beginning for me to go to Italy. And I started going back and forth, back and forth. I think I went back and forth about 20 times before I even decided to live there. And
Wow.
after going back and forth, I was like, well, I've been going so much, and I was like, well, it'll be a good experience to learn a new culture and live in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Even as a child, I never thought about living in a foreign country. I
Right,
never
right.
thought about that sort of thing. But so I was like, well, you know what? I guess I'm going to give it a try. My mom was like, of course, have you lost your mind? She was like, have you lost your mind? You're going to leave your job. You don't know the language. You don't know anybody over there. And I was like, well, I'll learn, And I'm an only child.
Oh, so your poor mom. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I'm an only child. So she was like, I don't believe you're going to do that. I was like, well, Ma, I don't have any kids or anything, so why not? I said, at least I can try. And if it doesn't work out, as a matter of fact, the Marriott loved me so much that when I gave my resignation, they told me, well, we don't want you to leave. However, if you want to go and pursue that, we wish you the best. But we're going to give you a year leave of absence. And if it doesn't work out, you have your job back.
Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
wow.
Nice.
I was like, well, that's good to know that I will have something to fall back on. And I told him, well, I don't think I'll be back. And I never went back. So, it was just a real gift. And I went over there, didn't speak the language, didn't know anyone. And the Lord just widened my territory and immersed me into the music.
That's what I was going to say. How did your first contact when you were there, your first time that you performed over there, how did that go? Was it were you singing by yourself with a band?
I was singing by myself with a band. I was the lead vocalist. You know, it was actually when I arrived there. I had a 3-month tour, and I arrived a couple of weeks early, and I met the band, and we rehearsed for a couple of weeks. I had already sent them my repertoire, and we rehearsed for 2 weeks to prepare for the tour. And I had a 3-month tour, and it was over the summer, and I started, and my first concert, I was headlining with on the same bill with Bo Diddley.
Oh my goodness! Really?
Yes, yes, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, okay, and I was performing at all of the major festivals. You know,
my
with
God.
Bo Diddley, Scott Henderson.
Oh wow!
I performed all over Europe, in Budapest, Germany, Switzerland, everywhere, Santiago, Czechoslovakia, Bolivia.
Oh my God!
Just everywhere, Croatia, everywhere. And then I also headlined in the same bill also with Wilson Pickett
Wow!
and Kool and the Gang.
Wow.
And I opened up for B.B. King even in
Oh
Milan.
my goodness!
Yes, and that was like, I don't talk about that much, but yes, I headlined with all of these people. I even sang a few songs. I sang Mustang Sally with Wilson Pickett,
Oh jeez!
and we had a good time.
How excited! No, but how was the language trying to learn?
Oh my God, trying to learn the language, that was hilarious, okay? Because my band did not speak English. They spoke very little English. So really my first 4 months there, well, my first 3 months, because we were on tour for 3 months, but my first 3 months there, I didn't talk. I was just listening to them talk, you know, and they would be laughing and carrying on, and I would be like, you know. And so I asked them make a list for me of the major, you know, the most important things to know how to ask, to eat, the toilet, you know, and all of those things. And so I was put into, I had an apartment while I was on tour in the town in Cremona. And that's how I ended up living in Cremona, because that's where my promoter set me up in Cremona, because the leader of the band lived there in that town. So that was the only town that I knew, and it was small, and I liked it, you know. So I was like, okay, when I decided to actually stay in Italy, I just stayed in Cremona. As a matter of fact, that's why they, you know, they also call me the Panther of Cremona.
Yes, I was going to ask you. I had it on my little
I know
paper here. The Panther of Cremona. Yes.
Yes, and so I played charades for like 3 months, trying to, you know, when I would go to the grocery store and not know how to ask, I would be like, and they would be like, oh, dentrificio. And I was like, yes. So I also learned like that too, and I would be like, for chicken. And they would say, oh, polo. I was like, yes. So I played charades, and it was hilarious.
Did you ever say something that was wrong and they would look at you like?
Yes. Oh my God, I cannot tell you on here. I cannot tell you, but I will have to tell you that story after. But I did say a lot of words wrong, and my Italian friends would just crack up, okay, because they knew I was saying it wrong. And I would be like, what? And they would just be like, rolling on the floor, you know. But to actually learn the language, I got a couple of books, and I also started reading comic books, because you can see the photographs and you can know what the storyline is. And so for me, it was really easy to do it that way. And then before I knew it, I was talking Italian. And I've had a lot of Italians say, "You speak really well." And I'm like,
yeah.
"No, I don't speak that well." I always say I made up my own Italian language.
So now you were there, ended up being there for how many years?
20 years.
20 years.
Yes, 20 years. That's amazing. I know.
Oh,
I'm shocked my
God.
own self when I think about it. 20 years. And now I'm back stateside, which I go back and forth, but I lived there 20 years, so I have a lot of friends
Oh my God.
who are like family to me.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's my friends now from home, from America, they always introduce me to people as their friend from Italy.
right, yeah, right. Now, are there many African Americans over in?
Well, not many.
Yeah.
Not many, but there are some people, because, also they do have the American bases there.
Oh, okay.
They do. But even though they have the American bases, a lot of because I went on the base, and it's like America. When you walk
really?
into that base,
Okay.
they have everything there.
Okay.
They're not missing. So a lot of people who live there on the base, they don't come out
Into the town.
town, so they don't even speak Italian. They can be there 20 years and don't still.
Really?
Because they never interact, because they're right there on the base, and everything is designed just like at home. So you don't really, even they have grocery stores that have everything American.
So they don't even have to worry about it.
They don't have to
But
worry
that would be
about
so want to know. Just want to know what's outside.
I know, I would too, but it's like, I was just shocked when I went on that American base, because I really was like, I thought I was in America,
Really?
Two different worlds right there. And you walk out of there and you're like, okay, but yeah. But after 20 years now, a lot of things are beginning to go over there, where they're making it available even in the Italian stores, because for many years, the American holidays, of course, are not celebrated over there. So
Right.
me being over there so long and not celebrating the holidays, I forget now, about the holidays here, because for me it was just another day.
Yeah.
And, we didn't have a turkey and all that stuff over there to buy, to make a turkey and celebrate. So for me, it was like, and people be like, oh, well, it's like, I'm like, oh, okay, I forgot,
Yes. Now, what made you decide to come back to the States?
Well, because after 20 years, I felt like I needed to come home and let people hear me.
Yeah.
Because I worked so hard, and so I felt like I needed to come home and share it.
Yeah.
And because I love my home, I love America, and so I'm American, and I was like, I need to come home and share my craft, and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy because it's been well received.
Yes.
And
yes, definitely.
which is, of course, a joy for me, because as an artist, of course, you always want to be well received.
Right.
And but I had all of my training for the 20 years, and I even taught in the school system there.
Oh my
voice,
goodness.
and I had voice students, and I did a lot of web seminars and music seminars, and I even taught a gospel choir over there for 10 years, yes, and we did many concerts, because my specialty is jazz, gospel, and blues. And so I did many concerts,
Mm-hmm.
gospel concerts over there, and I sang in so many of the beautiful cathedrals there, and I would have never thought that I would have taught a gospel choir over there as well, and that was another thing that.
And you guys sang in Italian?
No, in
No,
English.
really?
In English, in English. I sang in English too. I sang in English. That's when, I found out that music really is universal.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you convey
Mm-hmm.
through your emotions of
Mhm.
what you're feeling about what you're singing about,
Mm-hmm.
they will understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will understand that emotion,
Mm-hmm.
and they understand the love.
Yeah.
They understand
Yeah.
the love because the Lord taught me that,
Mm-hmm.
me being over there doing that, and from the reaction from the people,
Mm-hmm.
and who would come to me crying and telling me
Mm.
thank you for giving them hope. And I was amazed, because I was like, wow, I just did a jazz concert,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And they're like, thank you for giving me hope. And, people have come to me and tell me, oh my God, I was feeling so bad. And, you just made me feel free again, to enjoy.
Well, I mean, I had the experience myself because on the jazz cruise again last
Uh-huh.
year, I didn't know who you were. And,
Right.
I heard all this good music upstairs, and I ventured up, and I was like, oh wow. And so all the people standing around, I said, well, I just got to get a hug or a picture or something. And I did. I felt so good. And when I found out that Tanya knew you, I was like, oh my God, okay, there's my lifeline to this lady. I mean, I was just so I was so impressed by the whole thing, how you just captured everybody. I mean, everybody. I saw people that were like you. I mean, they were just like so caught up in the whole
Yes.
thing, and it is true. 'Cause I mean, I'm speaking for myself, not for with
Mm-hmm.
anybody else. And then you did a little blues, a little jazz. You brought in a little gospel. You ended up
Exactly.
directing everybody on the boat.
That's
You
right.
directed everybody on the cruise, and this part sing that, and it was just. And like I said again, the band was just phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it was such a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
And I was like, I don't know if anybody looked. I was trying to talk to whoever I knew. You know who's responsible for next year? I sure wish they could bring her back. I sure wish they could bring her back. And look at here.
And look here, I am back. And I was told that they received phone calls for me to come back up to 6 months
Really?
after the cruise.
And the way God works things out too, because I was trying I was trying to work with the other young lady that was down here to figure out a way. How could we do an interview? But who would have believed or thought that you're actually sitting up in here with me today? I'm just happy. I'm excited. I'm happy. Thank God for Win TV for the
Yes,
last minute of me like
yes.
calling them. Can you please? My friend is coming into town, and they were just so gracious to, yep, you guys can get down there at 1 o'clock. We'll take it. So there's a beautiful bunch of people that work here, but I just feel so blessed. I know your mother is just so happy
She is.
that you're back in the States.
She is. And surprisingly, she is like, I believe she's really, stunned as well that I've been able to maintain as a artist, an independent artist, without any type of I've managed myself for 20 years. And, it's not easy being an entrepreneur, a business in the music industry,
Yeah.
and but thank God I've been able to sustain myself and do only my music and make a living doing that.
That's a wonderful thing to do what you love.
Yes, to do what you love, and I always hashtag that.
My God.
Love what you do what you love, and when you do what you love, it shows.
Right.
I
Right.
always say that too. You know, when you do what you love, it shows. And I someone told me that the other night when I was performing afterwards, and he said, you can tell you just love what you do. You can see it, he says. You can feel it. That you are really enjoying yourself.
Yes.
And I say, yes, I am. I am enjoying it.
Now, how did you get hooked up to be the headliner for, now you know I'm going to mess up the name again.
No, you won't.
Yeah, would it be?
Vino del Lago.
Vino del Lago. I told you. How did you end up being the headliner for?
Vino del Lago. Well, Vino del Lago is in Las Vegas, and it's out at Lake Las Vegas. And that in itself is hilarious, too, how I ended up being the headliner for Vino del Lago. They're brand new. They just opened up Memorial Day weekend. And a couple of my friends that I met in Las Vegas that had heard me sing prior to, I sat in and sang a couple of songs. And they were like, oh, you got to come here, you got to come here, you got to let people know. And so I was like, okay. And so they told me about this event. And they said, you've got to come out there. The saxophone player who's playing is our friend from Seattle. And, you know, we're going to ask him, can you sing a song? And I was like, okay. So I went out there on Friday night. I was late, very late. So I didn't get to sing Friday night. But I did tell the owners that I was a vocalist, international artist, and I gave them my business card. And they said, oh, okay, well, that's nice. We have heard some talk about you, and but we're all booked up, you know, and the next time you're performing somewhere, let us know, and we'll come and hear you. And I said, okay. And so the following night, my girlfriend calls. She's like, you got to get there early. She's like, we're going to come get you to make sure you get there. So I was there like at 6 o'clock in the evening, and we spoke to the saxophonist, and he said, yes, you can sit in and sing a couple of songs. And so that night I sang a couple of songs, and everybody went crazy. And the owners were standing on the side. They're looking like, and they were like, oh, we got to get you here as soon as possible, because I was going to be leaving to go back to Italy. And they said, we got to get you in here as soon as possible. And I said, okay. And then some other things happened in my personal life where I couldn't go to Italy. And they booked me to sing on Sunday. And I sang, and then they said, oh, well, we'd like to have you, because they had other artists singing during the week, but they didn't have Sundays. And so they said, well, we'd want to try Sunday because we don't know how that'll work out. And I said, okay. So I started doing Sundays, and it worked out really well. And then the next thing I knew, they were offering me every other Saturday. And so I started doing every other Saturday. Then they offered me every Thursday.
Wow.
And so now I have a residency there 3 nights a week.
Wow.
And I was just very grateful. I was like, thank you, Lord, you know, and it's like, and so that's how it happened. That's exactly how it happened. And they're wonderful people. It's a very unique concept, you know, and the atmosphere is phenomenal.
It looks that way. I've seen it, you know, on the videos and stuff.
Yes, the atmosphere is phenomenal. I could not have asked for anything better, really.
Wow.
I really
What a
couldn't.
blessing.
I really couldn't. And I've gotten to meet a lot of people, a lot of nice people, and I'm building a following.
Yeah.
You know, so what I had prayed for is starting to happen. People are starting to know about Habaka in America.
Oh yeah, wonderful. I'm gonna say who they were comparing you to. They said, let me see. What they call you, the sultriness and class of Cassandra and Nancy Wilson.
Yes.
The sassiness of Eartha Kitt.
Mm-hmm.
the subtleness of Shirley Horn,
Mm-hmm.
and even when necessary, the big vibrato of Bessie Smith, Etta James, and Mahalia Jackson.
Yes. Now you know who Mahalia Jackson
yeah,
is.
yeah, girl. So, and I agree with it all, and I'm just so again excited to have you with me. I want you to make the announcement, but I want you to do it for me two ways. I want you to tell them in Italian what's happening, and I want you to tell them in English just so they can hear how wonderful you speak. And so just look in the camera and tell them about what's happening on Saturday.
Okay, well, on Saturday, September 15th, I will be performing with my band, Shake Blues, also known as My Bluesmen, for the Hartford Jazz Society Jazz and Blues Riverboat Cruise. If you haven't gotten a ticket, there may still be some tickets available, but they're almost all gone.
Yeah, maybe a couple single tickets.
It might be a couple of single tickets left. So my guys are really excited. Francesco Mazzilli, he's the bass player. He's known as Shake Blues. Fabio Beto is on the guitar. Alberto Igne is also on guitar. And my drummer is Loris Veronese on the drums. Io sono molto contenta di essere scelta per questo evento ancora. And I said, I'm very happy to have been chosen to be able to perform this event again.
Wonderful. Love it, girl, love it. Oh, wow. So, again, I am so excited. Now, we're not going off just yet. We're going to have Habaka grace us with her voice in a minute. She's going to sing one of her songs off her album. And I just want to thank all you guys for watching tonight. And I'm sure that just from watching her talk, you haven't even heard her sing yet, but just from hearing her talk, you see why I fell in love with this lady the first time I met her. So I thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. You want to say goodbye?
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here at Win TV. Thank you for allowing Teresa to interview me at the last minute. Thank you so much, Teresa. I love you. She's wearing my T-shirt.
That's right.
I
And
mean,
wait a minute
Oh,
before I
wait.
go off. Before I go off, you know, I'm trying to keep in. So
look at her.
how you like it?
How you
Bang.
like
Okay.
that? She's doing the Habaka style.
Also, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody. Ain't no love in the heart of the city. Ain't no love in the heart of town. Ain't no love, and ain't it a pity? Ain't no love, 'cause you ain't around. When you were mine, oh, it felt so good, 'cause your love lit up this whole neighborhood. But now that you're gone, you know that the sun don't shine from the city hall to the county line. And that's why I said, ain't no love in the heart of the city. Ain't no love in the heart of town. Oh, ain't no love, and ain't it a pity? Ain't no love, 'cause you ain't around. Every place that I go, oh, it seems so strange. Without you there, things have changed. The nights are cold, there's a blanket of gloom. Another teardrop falls in my lonely room. That's why I said, ain't no love in the heart of the city. Ain't no Another teardrop falls in my lonely room. That's why I said, ain't no love in the heart of the city. Ain't no love in the heart of town. Oh, ain't no love, and ain't it a pity? Ain't no love, 'cause you ain't around, 'cause you ain't around. Ain't no love in the heart of the city. Ain't no love, 'cause you ain't around. Woo. Ain't no love in the heart of the city. Ain't no love, 'cause you ain't around. Ain't no love in the heart of the city. Ain't no love, no, in the heart of this town. Yeah.